Hello there, Inkquiring Minds in here, out there, all around the world, and all the ships at sea. My name is Doug. Welcome to another Inkquiring Minds live stream for October 2025. Holy Mackinaw! Is it October already? Where did the summer go? I know I turned around yesterday, it was summer, and today, not so much. And you can see I've got my Boys of October hat on and my Blue Jays hoodie on because today is game one of the ALDS series between the Toronto Blue Jays and the New York Yankees. And you can probably guess which team I'm favoring. Yes, I'm a fan. You know, fan stands for fanatic, right? But they don't say, we got 47,000 fanatics in the stadiums today, because that would be bad for ratings to say we got 47,000 fanatics here. Well, we got one fan here of the Blue Jays. What's your favorite team? Yes, it's baseball we're talking about, for those of you that don't know. And I'm going to try to keep today's live stream a little bit shorter because the Blue Jays are playing in exactly an hour. And I usually ramble on for like an hour and a half, but no one wants to hear me talk for an hour and a half. So we're going to blow through some topics today. I've got an agenda for you all, which we'll look at in a moment, but I want to welcome everybody here. It's good to see so many. We got 18 people here already. First of all, can you see me and can you hear me clearly, everyone? Coming through loud and clear? Yeah, stop me from blathering. I want to see if this works. Let's see. There we go. Yep, it works. So I got to make sure all my gear is working. Thanks, Miss Marilyn, for coming and for tuning in yet again, and for telling me that, yes, you can hear me. Thank you. It's my birthday month, the 28th. Well, happy birthday. October is the month of Miss Marilyn Darling. Yes, I concur. And who else is here? I know that my wingman, Copperplate from Germany, is here. She says she's got, let's see, glad to join. I enjoy the first real autumn day I lit a candle and a few cookies. Together with your wonderful live stream, it's a perfect evening. Thank you. And it's evening there, and it is still morning here in the Rockies. And good morning to, there's name like nobody else. Hi, Mad. Good to see you. We're going to be talking about your email that you sent me shortly, because that's my entire Doug's mailbag today, is your email and the wonderful photos that you sent. Thank you so much for doing that. And who else do we have here? Equip Institute with Florence. Hello, Florence. And let's take a look. Here's John J. Thadamanil. I'm probably butchering that, but welcome. Your first time here? Welcome. Thank you. Maybe you'll this will cure you from fountain pens forever by watching this. Thadamel as in phenomenal. Thadamil. Excellent. Don't count on it. Hey, there's Oscar. Hey, Oscar. Good to see you, man. How are things down there in the land south of the U.S.? We're the land north of the U.S. right here. Everything's relative to the U.S. these days. So let's take a look. Welcome in. We got 20 people here now. Welcome in, everyone. I started the stream a little bit later than I usually do. I usually start it early and let people gather and chat and stuff like that. But I've had some difficulty with the live stream software doing that recently. Things don't work as well as if I just started up live to begin with. So let's take a look at today's agenda for October 2025. Again, we're going to talk about what's new, and what's old. So new pens coming up and old pens that I've restored. I've got a really nice pen to show you today that's going up in a week. I'm a week in advance with pen restorations. And then we're going to have a discussion topic that I proposed last time when we got together back in September. And that is, what is the proper grip for writing? Not just with a fountain pen, but for regular pens or for pencils. What is the proper grip? And I have a bit of a rant about that. Oh, there's Enzo. Hi, Enzo. Good to see you. And then we're going to have Doug's mailbag. And Doug's mailbag is entirely devoted to a name like nobody else today. You're the star today on Doug's mailbag because I got one really nice email from her, and there are a bunch of photos attached, and we're going to do a little bit of hunting. What is this pen? What is this pen model? And I'm going to try to decipher what these pens that Mad has sent me. She just sent me photos. She didn't send me the pens. And then, of course, you have to mark in your calendars, folks, that on October 24th at 6:30 p.m. is your local Pelican Hub coming up. We're all looking forward to that here in Calgary. We've got a group of people coming here in Calgary from the Calgary Pen Club. But these Pelican Hubs are happening all around the world at the same time, local time, October 24th, 6:30 p.m. Take a look, search Google, and find out where your local Pelican Hub is. It's way too late to sign up to get the swag. If you've signed up already, you'll go to the event, and they'll get you. You get paper, and you'll get the new ink of the year, and all kinds of other swag, and get to hobnob with other Pelican fanatics. And it's a really nice evening. I'm glad they're doing it again this year. Pelican changed hands, ownership hands last year, and we were concerned that it might not continue, but it is continuing, and it's wonderful. So find one that's near you and just go. You can sign up. You don't have to sign up. Just go, and you'll be welcomed. You won't get the swag, though. So Madeline says, I've heard that the swag is spotty, not showing up in some places. Well, that's not good. I expect that if you're there and you've signed up and you don't get the swag, that there will be some kind of mechanism for you to get it. If they're going to make good. I'm sure that Pelican doesn't want people all around the world mad at them, especially Madeline. And then, of course, mark your calendars. Oh, I skipped right over membership. Number 5, membership giveaway. Copper Plate 69 is going to keep me on track today and remind me that we need to do another giveaway of 5 free memberships to Inkquiring Minds for 1 month. And so we'll be doing that just hopefully in about an hour from now. And then mark your calendars for November 1st, 10 a.m. Pacific time for the November live stream. We'll all be done with our Halloweening, and we'll all be full of candy. I'm speaking about myself, of course. But another month down and we'll be into November. Who knew things would go so quickly? I know Christmas will be upon us. I'm not supposed to say Christmas, no. The lucrative gift-giving season will be upon us really soon. And I'll be having my regular videos in November where I do late November, early December, where I'll do my best and worst of 2025. And I'll also do some gift-giving guides for pen lovers. Video that's always really popular, what to get the fountain pen enthusiast in your family. Don't put ink on the Christmas tree. So let's take a look at what's new here. Doug, are you doing the Diamine Inkvet calendar this year? No, I did it once. I know that you're going to do it, Marilyn, and it's great. I love watching all of those. I did it once and found that it was a lot of work doing all those tiny little videos. I did one a day and did a video for every unboxing for each day of opening the advent calendar from Diamine, and I found it was very, very high level of work and a bit of a low return in terms of views. Excuse me. PG tips, a little bit of tea, clear the pipes. So no, I'm not doing that, but I'll be looking forward to yours, Maryland, because I know that you do it every year. So let's talk about what's new, because Harry says, "What's new, Doug?" Well, let me show you, Harry. What is new? Let's go to my desk. Let's see if it works today. There it is. What do you know, it's working. This is not a new pen. It's new to me, and it doesn't belong to me. But this is a Santini Libra Rubino. Beautiful, bright red, piston-filling Italian fountain pen, Santini, with gold hardware, 18-karat gold, Santini large nib, ebonite feed. This is a gorgeous pen. This is my pen friend Peter from the Calgary Pen Club. He loaned me this pen a few weeks ago, and I haven't got to it yet in terms of a review. And I went to the last pen club meeting, and Peter says, "Where's the review? I hadn't even inked the pen yet." And he says, "I might want that pen back." So I'm going to be doing this review real soon, probably next week. But this is an incredibly beautifully writing pen. So look forward to that. But also, I have to set this up because the rest of the new pens that I'm going to be reviewing aren't here yet. So I've got photos of them, but let's talk about them one by one. I should be able to get this next pen. I have to bring them up on my screen so you can see them. Let's see. Let's go here. Yeah. And let's do this. Pardon me while I'm doing my housekeeping here. And we'll go to my computer. There we go. This right here. Anybody guess what that is? Anybody? Crickets, crickets. This is the new Asvine V800. It's a very large, there you go, Ari's got it. Name like nobody else, Asvine, you're right. V800, yep, you're all right. I reached out to Sally at Easy Buy when I saw that Doodlebud had 3 of these already. Without even an announcement from Sally, I wrote to Sally and I said, "What the F, man? You know, Doodlebud has 3 already. I didn't even know it was out." So I said, "Send me 2. And usually what I do is I say, will you sell me one of the new pens? And she says, "Sure, I'll sell you one of the new pens." And she gives me a discount. And I thought, I'm the luckiest pen influencer in the world because I'm getting a discount. And then I find out that Doodlebud gets 3 of them even before they're announced for free. So I said, "Okay, send me. I want 2. I want one in blue and I want one in amber." And she's sending them to me. And I'm getting them for nothing, for being a pen influencer. There's the amber. Now the blue one is coming, the blue one here is coming with a 1.1 stub. And that one I'm going to keep. And this one in amber, I know it's sacrilege for me to give away an amber fountain pen. I love this amber as a cat look. But I'm going to give this one away. It's going to come with a medium nib. These are number 8 size Asvine steel nibs. and they've got this lovely reeded cap band that looks like a ring or a coin. We've seen this on one of their pens before. This is like a V126 on steroids, this pen. And I know it's going to be gorgeous. I can't wait to see how much ink it will take up, because this is a big pen. When you know that that's a number 8 size nib, then the rest of this pen is big. There's Chaz. Hi, Chaz. Good to see you. And there's Russell. Who knew Doug was a pen influencer? Thanks, Russell. Yeah, so I'm going to give one of these away. I'm expecting this in the next week to 10 days. And so it might be a couple of weeks before you see this, probably the end of October on a Saturday when you'll see this. But I'll be doing a giveaway just because. Maybe we'll do a Halloween giveaway. Have to have some kind of a reason for a giveaway. But that V800 is coming, and I'll be giving it away. And then I got an email from Fountainwell Press, Ferris Wheel Press. Now, Ferris Wheel Press is a Canadian company. They're based in Toronto, Ontario. Many of you know and love their inks. I love their inks. I don't love their ink bottles. But they also have 2, 3, 4 models now of fountain pens. Back in the day when they first started doing fountain pens, there was the Carousel, which is a little plastic pen, very similar to a Kaweco Sport, a little bit longer. Small number 5 size nib, steel nib. And I did a review of the Carousel. And then I did a review. They sent me the brush pen, which I don't think they offer anymore. But the brush was a brass bodied pen with an enamel kind of paint surface and a metal section, brass section. And I reviewed that pen as well. I wasn't favorable to either the Carousel or the brush pen that they sent me. And I didn't hear anything more from Ferris Wheel Press after that. Anything more from Ferris Wheel Press I had to buy myself. But I figured they were probably pissed off at me for panning their pens. But I figured they were overpriced and they were under quality, kind of overpriced, under quality. But then I got an email just the other day, a couple weeks ago, and it was from someone at Ferris Wheel Press and saying that they were concerned about their image in the community, that there's a lot of bad-mouthing going on about Ferris Wheel Press on Reddit and on other Substacks. I had never heard any of that. I know that I have said negative things about their bottles, but I've never panned them as a company. I think they're a terrific fountain pen ink company. But this email said, would you be interested in reviewing one of our, or several of our products? And you can say whatever you want. We're not influencing you to say positive things about us. We just want to have honest reviews. And so I wrote back and I said, yeah, well, I reviewed you a couple of years ago. 2 or 3 years ago, I reviewed a couple of your pens, not so favorably, but I do love your inks. And he wrote back immediately, and I said, I also mentioned that in my pen club, Calgary Pen Club, there's 2 members, Mike and Claudia, who both ordered one of their new model pens, the Marquesa, which is another brass-bodied, but maybe it's not brass-bodied. I haven't got one yet, so I don't know. But it's it might be extruded aluminum. But it's a new model pen, and they quite love it. They ordered them on a Kickstarter, apparently. And so I mentioned that to him, and he says, oh, well, give me their connection information, and I'll send them products as well. So I'm going to be doing a collaborative review of the new Marquesa. Now let's see if I can find it here in my pictures. And Yeah, here we go. Let's go over to my computer. And here we have, let's get it bigger. Here we have the Ferris wheel press Marchesa pen and Superman ink set. They're sending me this, either the light blue one or the dark blue one. And the Marchesa is a flat-sided aluminum, powdered aluminum kind of paint pen with a smaller brass cap ring. Some of their other pens have these large brass nuts as cap rings, and I've never liked that. But they've got a few series. There's a Harry Potter series, I think. But Visa, who is their marketing manager, is sending me this in the next week or so. And I'm going to be doing a collaborative review of this pen with my colleagues, Mike and Claudia. And so I'm going to bring some of my Calgary Pen Club members onto my channel and make them world famous among all 100 viewers. But I'm looking forward to that. And I've already written briefly with Mike's because he's got his already. And it's a big improvement on the brush pens, certainly from a couple of years ago. Chaz says brass nuts. That was the nickname of our high school PE teacher. Yeah, well, there's another pen here. Let me see if I can find it. That Fisa said he was going to send me as well. And no, that's not it. Yes, this one. This is the Joule, Joule. So I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. They're going to be sending me one of these. I don't know what color. It's got a two-tone steel nib, and it's got this sort of reeded cap band on it. But the cap bands on the, let me just see if I can find one. Here we go. Let's go back to my face again. Here is a Ferris wheel press ink bottle. And the caps on these are brass, and they're brass nuts. They're six-sided hexagons, and I know that they might get sued by Quebeco for using the hexagon because they've got an international copyright on that shape, you know. But this is the same material that they put on the cap bands of the brush pen. And it was a nice roll stop, but it was big and heavy and clunky, and I just thought it was not so nice. Yeah, and when you posted the pens, they of course scratched the barrels. So I'm going to be looking to see how these pens work, especially this one, and whether they're an improvement on the old models. Of course, this Ferris wheel press bottle, this, what would you call this? Like a perfume bottle, right? It's so narrow, and it's just an accident waiting to happen. So that's why I designed and had my son 3D print these ink buddies for your Ferris wheel press ink bottles to go into, and so that stabilizes them. So while you're filling up your pen, you're not emptying 50 milliliters of ink, expensive ink at that. So look forward to that happening, that I'm going to be doing that collaborative review in probably the next, I'm going to wait for them to get their stuff from Ferris Wheel Press, and then we'll do sort of a Zoom meeting, get together, and I'll edit parts of that Zoom meeting for my review. So you get to meet a couple of my friends in the pen club. You've already met Murray a couple of times. So now you're going to meet Claudia and Mike. And I have other things coming, but not until November. So I'm going to save that until November. So let's go back to the agenda and look at what's old. And let me set up here. First of all, talk about this. So You already saw this pen resurrection. This is a 1940s, late 30s, early 40s Waterman Skywriter pen and pencil set that I restored. And this pen and pencil set has actually sold. But I've still got it because the purchaser wanted me to replace the pressure bar that's inside here, because I was using the original. It was slightly broken, and so she's asked that I get the parts and restore it completely with a new pressure bar. So I'm waiting for parts for this, and then this pen and pencil set will go out to its owner. But I'm going to video that process of changing out the pressure bar as well. So you'll see a new sort of an update to this pen resurrection, where I install a new pressure bar in this Waterman. I don't know when that's going to happen because of the Canadian postal strike. And I don't know whether my parts that are coming from pentooling.com in the States, the tracking on them shows that they've stopped in California and haven't moved. So I think maybe they're waiting for the Canadian postal strike to be over. I hope not. I hope they'll send it by courier. But when I get those parts, I'm going to do that update to that restoration. And tomorrow, you're going to see this. Put it on a stand here. And I'll see whether I can get a little bit closer. There we go. This is a Waterman, 1936 Waterman 92V. And it's in a green marble celluloid. It's a lever filler. And it's got this very interesting clip on it. I know that if I get closer, it just goes out of focus and my camera won't focus for some reason. The virtual camera on the iPhone will not focus. I'll leave it there. Lovely, lovely. And this pen was in pretty, it wasn't in rough shape, but it was certainly 90 years old shape. And it's polished up beautifully. I'm very pleased with this restoration. You'll see it tomorrow. It's got a 14 karat gold flexible, almost a stub-like nib. Very, very thick, wet pen. And it's a lady's size. This is a very small pen. So they were advertised back in the day, the 92V, as ladies' pens or pens for boys and girls. And they were $3.50 in 1936, which is about $82 today in US dollars. And this one just came out beautifully. I'm very, very pleased with that. So you're going to see that restoration tomorrow morning. And then I restored this. This looks black. It's not. It's an azure blue pearl Parker Vacuumatic. Those of you who've been watching live streams saw this maybe last month as an upcoming. And this was in horrible shape. The clip was almost black. The cap band was black all the way around. And I really thought, and there was also bite marks and chew marks all over it. It was just in really rough shape. And so on eBay, I got it for quite a lot less because it was looking so horrible. And I left like 10 days to do this. I started a couple of days ago. Usually I don't start until the weekend on one of these, and then it's ready by Sunday. I started this like last Thursday, thinking that I'm going to need at least a week and a few days to handle all the challenges that were with this pen. But it came out beautifully. And the nib was the least damaged part of this pen. The section was all like dull and brown. The nib was almost unrecognizable, but it's in really good shape. And so this is also a fairly unusual Parker Vacuumatic. It's a third generation, but it's from 1942. So just the transition from generation 2 to generation 3. And it has what's called a stacked coin cap band on it, which were discontinued in 1941. And so it's got a 1941 style cap band, but it's a third generation Azure Blue Pearl, and it's one of the original solid rod stock celluloid pens. After 1941-42, they started making this celluloid out of flat celluloid rolled onto a mandrel rather than a drilled solid rod. Here's one of the later generation. This is 1945, and you can see the difference. This is bright all the way around, that celluloid, because it's been made from a flat sheet that was rolled on a mandrel, and so it's bright all the way around. Whereas this one is dark and then bright, and then dark and then bright, and it's quite dark overall. But this is a beautiful, relatively rare stacked coin 1942 Parker Vacuumatic, and you'll see this review as soon as my camera comes back. My camera's gone offline again. You'll see that review a week tomorrow. I expected it was going to take me a week to restore. It took me 2 days instead. I was very pleased with it. Lovely pen, and it writes like a dream. So you'll be seeing that pen as well coming up, and that's what's old. So let's see what people have been saying here while I've been blathering on. There's Harry Brooks. Hi, Harry. Good to see you. Does anyone here know any information on the Parker IL? I've searched, but only find the IM. The IL. I'm not aware of the IL. Does anybody know? Tell Harry if you know. Yeah, Madeline. Yeah, just about every year. It's actually not. It's actually not fair, because Canada Post workers, the union, have been trying to strike a deal with Canada Post for months and months and months. This goes back like almost a year. They've been without a contract for a long time, and Canada Post just keeps refusing to negotiate in good faith. One of the problems is that the head of Canada Post is also on the board of Purelator here in Canada, and Canada Post is moving a lot of their business to Purelator and trying to get around their employees. So it's a tense situation when you've got a conflict of interest like that. But we all know that those kinds of conflicts of interests are all over the place on our planet these days, aren't they? Yeah, it is gorgeous. It's and it's actually stamped 52V. And it was made in Canada at the Saint-Lambert near Montreal, Quebec plant back in 1936. But it was misstamped. I don't know why, but Canada's plants did weird things back then. So yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Russell. Brian should be able to answer your question about the Parker. Attaboy, Chaz. The problem is there's been so much unrest in the Canadian postal system that businesses and people have to work around all that. And so people have found ways to work around Canada Post, and they end up delivering flyers. So I know that for the last year or so, all I get in my mailbox is flyers. And I'm doing all of my shipping when I'm sending things to the United States through a Canadian broker called Chit Chats. And I'm getting things shipped all over the world for half the price of what it goes at Canada Post. So with those kind of numbers, you can't help but have to try to find alternate solutions. Now, let's get back to our agenda, folks, because we're coming up on a half an hour to my Blue Jays game. And we have priorities here. We do have priorities. And we're going to talk about our discussion topic. And I said this last month that I wanted to do a sort of almost like a poll to find out what grips you folks use when you're holding your pens. Excuse me. Do you use a death grip? Do you use a light grip? And what triggered this for me, see if I can find this photo and show you. What triggered it for me was this. Let's move it over to my screen. So Wynn and I were recently at our favorite restaurant. This was over the summer. And one of the waiters was taking someone's order next to us. And look how he's holding this pen. And I had to take a photo of it. I just had to, because this is ridiculous. Now, whatever floats your boat, folks, you know, I mean, you write like this, you get a neck tattoo, or you have a neck tattoo and you write like this. I don't know. Is there a correlation here? I don't know. He was a really nice guy, so I shouldn't make fun of him. But this is so painful to me to look at. How does anyone learn to hold a pen like this? And so this sort of sent me off into rant mode about why this happens. And I think this happens because, number one, no one is taught to hold a pen anymore, because they don't teach writing, cursive writing, or anything in school anymore, because it's a lost art. Apparently all you need to have is keyboarding. You don't need keyboarding anymore. You need to have as fast thumbs to type. But I don't even know what to call this grip. But I think because you do have to, in life, be able to write things down. You're not always going to have your phone with you or your computer with you. You're going to have to use a pencil or something to write something down if you're a normal human being. People will learn their own way of doing it. Without instruction, you'll come up with your own way. And so I don't even know what to call this grip. You know, you've heard of the thumb over, you've heard of the tripod grip, you've heard over the quadrupod grip. There's all kinds of different grips. But this just looks painful to me. And I'm not sure that I agree, well, I know that I don't agree with the concept that people will find their own way. You know, whatever floats your boat is good for you. Don't keep people from expressing themselves. I believe that there's a right way and a wrong way. So I'm just going to go into rant mode here for a moment. And please tell me what kind of grips you have. I know people are saying that now. But I'm going to sort of rant about the idea of letting people do what they want, and that whatever you do is valid, because it's your opinion and you're an autonomous human being and you have rights and all this kind of stuff. But I still believe that facts are facts, that right is right. There is a correct way of doing things. And when you hold a pen or a pencil, there is a correct way. And that is with the relaxed tripod grip. Now, you can have variations on that, but the idea that when you hold a pen, you hold it in your hand, and you rest it on your middle finger, and you use your index finger to guide it, and your thumb to stabilize it, and these two fingers curl underneath and become the cushion on which you write. Now, left-handed people will have variations of this, of course, but you can write with the tripod grip when you're left-handed as well. But to say that if you hold a pen like this, that's up to you and your own personal style. Of course it is, but it's wrong. I'm sorry, but it's wrong. Now, you can go to a Chinese restaurant and grab your chopsticks and eat your Chinese food like this. All power to you. It's a free world. You can do whatever the hell you want to do with your chopsticks, but it's wrong. It's not the right way to hold chopsticks. It's the same thing with a pen. The tripod grip is the correct grip. That's why it was taught for eons on how to hold a pen or pencil, and everything else is just wrong. If you can write beautifully, and my handwriting is horrible, and I've seen people with thumb over grips that write more beautifully than I do, that's fine. You know, you find a way to write successfully with the wrong grip. That's great. It's still the wrong grip. And that's what I think. And I'm going to stick to my opinion. It's the same thing when people say, well, you know, 2 plus 2 equals 4. No, but that's just your opinion. Okay. It's also the fact. It just is. So you can deny that if you want to, but you're wrong. And people aren't saying those things anymore. They say, well, you have your right to your opinion. No, facts are facts, and you're wrong. Now, you will find a way to prove that black is white and white is black. Scientists can prove that in all kinds of feats of twisted logic. But you'll just get killed at the next crossing, at the next intersection crossing. And that's my rant. So, did you learn to cursive write in school? Did you learn to hold a pen in school or a pencil? And what kind of a grip were you given? If you're younger than me, which is most of you, then you may have been handed a pencil or a pen and said, you know, do what you want. You can print the alphabet whichever way you want. But let me know whether you were taught a proper grip and you just used a different one, or whether you were taught to just do what you felt like. So that's my bit of rant today. Let's see what people are saying. So Hari says, there we go. There it goes. When I use thick pens, my right hand forces me to use the dynamic tripod when writing. Samantha, hi Samantha. My grip is fine. My resting pen face could use some work. Excellent. Jason says, the QWERTY keyboard was invented to slow down the manual typist. It's not a good design. It's the standard. But it's quite awkward, and there were better. But good luck finding a keyboard in Dvorak. Yeah, in Dvorak keyboard. Well, it's what you learn, right? But I do think that the tripod grip is the correct one for writing and printing. It seems to be, like, I agree with what you're saying about the QWERTY keyboard was so that the keys didn't get all jammed up. It's to slow you down. But I think that the tripod grip is the one that evolved with human beings holding sticks and writing in sand as the correct one. You'll also find that different grips for different purposes, not just for writing, but for if you're an artist and you're sketching, you're not holding your pen like your brush like this. You're holding it like this. When you're painting or sketching, you're holding it somewhat like this. And when you go to art school, they teach you that. They don't say, well, do what you feel like. If you want to hold your paintbrush like this and paint, you know, if you make a successful painting and sell it for $1 million, good on you. It's still the wrong grip. So that's my point. Let's see. Oscar says, I wholeheartedly agree. Wife and I are both educators. There is a correct way to hold a writing instrument which reduces strain and discomfort in long-term writing. This is absolutely correct. And hello, fellow teachers out there. I'm a retired teacher, thank God. And if you're still teaching, my heart goes out to you. It really does. I wake up in a sweat sometimes thinking that I have to go to school tomorrow and teach something. And I wake up and I go, oh, thank God, I'm retired. And I can go back to sleep until noon. So, yeah. FELE says, I don't think there's one right grip, but I think there are definitely wrong grips. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. And that's what I meant, said that the variations on the tripod grip. There are all kinds of different combinations of the tripod, and there's the quadrupod grip and so forth, where it's a relaxed hand. And the point with a fountain pen is that you have to have a relaxed hand with it. I think it's one of the things that has caused handwriting and sort of tension when writing has increased is the ballpoint, because the ballpoint makes you put pressure on the page. A rollerball is better because you can do a light grip with a rollerball, it still makes a line. But I defy you with a ballpoint to just rest it with the pen weight on the page and make a coherent line. And there's Enzo. Hi, Enzo. Good to see you. Now, my children, the print is very small for me here. Now, my children, they are young, are not taught how to use a pen or a pencil, as you said. They just type on a computer keyboard. Really weird development in writing. Yeah, so do they not have to, in school, write anything on paper anymore? I'm just wondering. Because there's the curriculum, which is not ever set by teachers, which is bizarre to me. I mean, teachers are trained, educated. You have people with masters and PhD in education that are teachers and have been in the classroom and successfully taught people and know how to teach and how teaching and education works. And they're not asked about curriculum. It's politicians and parents that get together and decide what their students, what they want their kids to learn and how they're going to learn, which is bizarre to me. But teachers, anyway, even though they're teaching someone else's curriculum, will find ways in the classroom to do what works for children, for students. No matter what the administrator says, in my classroom, I know what works, and I know how to reach a student and allow them to be successful. So there might be a way for teachers to actually show you some skills in the classroom, regardless of what's in the curriculum. Again, I'm in rant mode. Good for you. When you're in a small school, you're going to be dealing one-on-one with kids, more one-on-one with kids, and one-on-one with parents. And parents don't get so nuts when they're, when you have more than a gaggle of parents around, they get this hive mind going, and they all end up being absolutely crazy. I've been out of education for 10 years, so I may not know what the hell I'm talking about. But don't get me into education. Oscar says, California introduced a standard for teaching of handwriting. We're bringing it back. Isn't that marvelous? And wouldn't you count on California to be the sanity in the world? They have the second largest economy in the world, a huge amount of population, and they tend to think about things a little bit more. But also, they also tend to overthink about a lot of things too. So you got a lot of weird things happening in California, but that's great to know that the California curriculum is bringing back handwriting. And again, I think it aids in learning. So again, I'm old school education. I was trained as a teacher, and I know how the brain works for learning. And I know what works in the classroom and what works in one-on-one with teaching someone. When you can reinforce knowledge by listening, doing, practicing, reinforcement, the brain works better. Those pathways are clearer in the mind when you're trying to, for example, it used to be when you were studying for exams and things like that, people told you to not just read your textbook, but to write notes. You weren't writing these notes to read them later. You're writing these notes to reinforce what your learning is. So I'm making notes on this concept right here, and I'm putting it in my own words. I'm writing more notes. And the whole process of putting the pen to the page reinforces understanding. So just reading a chapter in a textbook is not going to allow you to completely learn that. You're not going to be able to memorize it. But if you write notes on it with your hand, that hand-mind connection is there and strengthens that understanding. And so the best way to study is not put music in your ears and read a chapter in a book or on a computer, God forbid, on a computer screen. Computer screens are very difficult to understand in concept. So reading and writing, very basic to education understanding. Exactly what Chaotic Cat Plans says. Writing by hand helps students remember better. I tell my students that all the time. And you are absolutely correct. Yes, that is the correct answer, and there is a correct answer. We've known for decades in education what works. And they continue to study it and say, okay, well, I don't think we need to do that anymore. Here's a new way of doing things. Yes, and it has to be longhand notes, not shorthand. And again, shorthand is like typing on a keyboard. It allows you to go fast. You don't want to go fast. And fountain pen especially. Fountain pen writing makes you slow down. Your handwriting improves if you slow down. When I was in university, I majored in film criticism studies, film studies. And we'd watch 16 films a week. And of course, you're writing notes in the dark, and you'd have your hand on the page and watching the film while you're making your notes. And so you got good at writing fast in the dark and not being legible. You got good at reading your illegible writing. And it just made my handwriting suck because I learned to write fast. And so fountain pens slowed me down, and my handwriting has improved. Can you imagine what it was like before? It's actually legible now. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Shorthand is counterproductive in learning, absolutely. Me too. Thanks, Equip Institute with Florence. Russell says, kind of hard to use two hands for typing on one's keypad on their phone. Exactly. Ms. Marilyn says, write it down. Write it down, and teach it to someone else. That helps people remember. Almost 75. This is another great point. I never really knew the depth of subjects until I had to teach it. And so it was kind of an epiphany for me when I began teaching when I was in my early 20s, that the questions you would get from your students about the concepts that you were teaching them in the classroom triggered me to, not triggered in a bad way, triggered me to go and do more research and think, well, I never thought about it that way, or I never had that question in my head. And so that question triggered me to go and look and see what the other avenues of this subject were. And I'd come back with more understanding on a subject that I thought I knew, and here I was teaching. So I learned so much more about all kinds of things by teaching it. And that concept kind of was embedded in me, that feeling that I was learning more from my students than I was teaching them. that I incorporated into my teaching style. So when I got into group projects, I know people hate group projects, but my group projects were that I was going to get this particular student here to research this subject, find out all about it, and not present a report to the classroom, but to teach their group about it. And in a small group, when you have to teach someone else, you're going to learn so much more. And they all shared the teaching responsibility of teaching each other, which I thought really worked well. Douglas Bates, nice name, Douglas. Around here, students are taught to write or print with a pencil and pen. They are taught how to hold a pen. They no longer force people to do it the right way. The pressure required by pencil or ballpoint, right. So you're taught to write with or print with a pen or pencil, but you're not taught how to hold it. And so you end up with grips like my waiter's grip. Yeah, with shorthand, you don't have to engage with material to practice it, to understand it, I guess. Copperplate says, I still want to make it to your baseball game. Well, it would be a good time for a membership giveaway. You're absolutely correct, my co-pilot. Thank you very much for saying that. I get involved in these subjects and I go off track, so I always have my co-pilot Copperplate here to keep me on the rails. There is a full topic that I want to get to. I will do the memberships right now, but I do want to get to Doug's mailbag and Madeline's pens, because there's some fascinating pens here, and it'll only go about 15 minutes or so. So let's do the giveaway now. Now let's see how many people I've got here first. Let's see, where are we? And I got all these screens open over here and I can't see my home page. I have to close them all. Huh. It's gone. I know how to do this. There we go. So we got 54 people here right now. Thank you all for joining us. And let's see if this works. Got our fingers crossed. We're going to learn how to do this every month. Sometimes it's here and sometimes it isn't. Membership gifting, there it is. Okay, so here we go with the giveaway. 5 free memberships to Inkquiring Minds to any of the random 54 people that are here right now. And it says close. There we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and here's one. Doug Hopkins. I swear I'm not just giving out memberships to family and memberships to people named Doug. It's all random. What happened to my camera here? Oh, my camera's gone into AI tracking mode. That's why. So, Doug Hopkins has one, Anna Paradox has one, Bojo has one, Suave P has one, and Levin Kuhlman has one, and a free month of
It's 12 o'clock.
Thank you, it's 12 o'clock. Has won a free month of Inkquiring Minds. That means that you'll get all the badges and the emojis, and you'll get free unboxing, or you'll get unboxing videos from me, and you'll get instant access to my videos when I post them, because sometimes I post them a week in advance of their public air date. And especially the vintage pens, they will go for sale for members only for about a week or so, and you'll get a leg up on being able to purchase one of those pens if you're a member. This only gives you a free membership to Inkquiring Minds for a month. It will not roll over. If you want to continue it, you can for only 99 cents a month. And if you're interested in supporting me to a higher level, the higher level is $5 a month. And so I want to thank all of my members out there for continuing to support my channel. I really, really appreciate it. It keeps me going. It keeps my channel funded for buying new pens, and it keeps me interested in creating content because you guys are so generous. It really almost surprises me sometimes, the generosity of the people out there, especially in the fountain pen community. There's some really terrific people. I know that you guys, many of you go out to pen shows around the planet and meet each other and gather and have workshops and sell and exchange pens and so forth. I've not been to a pen show yet. I'm going to try to get to one in Canada at some point, but not been to one yet. Hopefully, if one comes to Western Canada, I might be able to get to it. So good, congratulations to all the members. Thank you, Copper Plate, for keeping me on track. And we're going to go now to, because on Doug's mailbag today, I have one particular question in 47 parts from Madeline. And I'm going to try to set this up. So you'll give me a moment's grace here to try to bring up all of these shots. And Madeline's email. Just part of the email, Madeline. Don't panic. I'm not going to give away everything you said to me. Here we go. And let's see whether I can bring this up too. So Madeline got herself a number of vintage pens and sent me photos of them. And there it is. Let's go back to my computer. And let's look at these pens group by group. First of all, this one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pens here that Madeline has sent me photos of, that she's recently obtained. And we're going to identify these pens and talk about them a little bit. First of all, congratulations on a haul of terrific looking, they all look like they're in excellent shape, terrific looking pens. But let's go from left to right and identify these pens. Now, she's sent me an email what she thinks these are, and I think she's mostly correct here on all of them. This one is a Schaefer, what looks like a pen for men, a PFM, but she says it's slimmer than a PFM, which means to me that it's probably an Imperial. This looks like 1960s Schaefer Imperial with that wonderful inlaid Imperial nib. What you need to tell me, Madeline, is whether this is a snorkel or not. Is there a snorkel on that? Because they came in snorkel versions and touchdown versions. I think this is a touchdown filler, but that's a beautiful pen. I think this nib is the most beautiful nib ever created for fountain pens. Some people say the Edison from Waterman is the most beautiful. Well, I disagree. I think this is the most beautiful, and followed up by the Edison and the Karen. And then the next pen, this is a Schaefer Snorkel, and the nib is a Triumph nib. This would be like not a Craftsman. There's a name for these. You can go to the web and find, there's a whole page about Schaefer pens. The best one is to look at Richard's pens. That's Richard Binder, and search Schaefer, And he has some really good guides for what that looks like, what model that might be. But I've had a couple of these, restored a couple of these. They're very intricate. The snorkel mechanism, pardon me. And, oh, wait a minute. Name like nobody else. Madeline says that the first one is a cartridge pen. So that's a later 60s model if it's a cartridge. So maybe 65. This would be an Imperial 2 or 3, something like that. That's my guess. Schaefer Snorkel from the late 1950s, this blue one. I'd say that's 58 or 59 right there. It all depends on the thickness of the cap band, what year it is. But they're beautiful pens when they're working. Lots of maintenance on those things. You have to keep them, either keep them inked all the time and use them all the time, or clean them out and store them. And this is one of the nicest pens to restore. This is an Esterbrook J. This one's in green with double black jewels and a threaded cap, lever filler, has a 2668 imprint. And you can just search Esterbrook nib codes and you'll find a list of all the different nib codes that say what style that Esterbrook nib is, the 2668. They had a huge number of codes. And these are, you can retrofit these old nibs into new Esterbrook's with one of their adapters. Let's move on to group 2. So this is a Sailor pocket pen. This is made in Japan. Sticker says 2,500. Yeah, that would be 2,500 yen. This is probably from the 1970s, early 80s, something like that. That Sailor. I'm not that familiar with Sailors, but these were very popular style of pens in the 70s and 80s for the Japanese. Plastic cartridge writes divine. I'm sure it does. 14 karat gold nib, or 18 karat gold nib. Sailor. Beautiful. That inlaid fingernail kind of nib was very popular in Japan in the late 70s, early 80s. And here is an old Pilot Elite. So it's not the short kind. These were the ones from the 1970s and 80s. You can only find these, I think, made in the Japanese market. I don't think they made these for international sale. But it's yeah, very similar to the E95S and the modern Elite. And that would be a 14 karat gold nib. Yeah. Snap cap. Modern, that would be a modern Pilot cartridge. And then her group 3, which is over here. This group. 1, 2, 3. Pilot Elite 95S. If it says Elite on it, it's made in Japan for the Japanese market, and it's not for international. If it only has the E, it's the international, and so it's the E95S. If it just says Elite, it is made in Japan. Now, there is a difference. If that is a steel nib, what does she say about it? Short filler. Tell me, Madeline, is that a 14 karat gold nib? If it's steel, it's made in Korea. Pilot subbed out their brand to a Korean pen company to make the Pilot Elite with a steel nib. So if you find you have an Elite with a steel nib, it's made in Korea, it is licensed by Pilot. And this pen, because of the look of that nib right there, that semi-hooded kind of a thing, is not inlaid down into the body like this one is. That is late 70s, early 80s, my guess. A vintage Pilot Elite. Yeah, you can't see, it's very firm. Check the back of the cap. If it doesn't say made in Japan on it, then it's Korean. I've got one of these. Nice pens. And here's another Schaefer snorkel right here in gray with the chrome and gold cap. I restored one of these. They look exactly like the one I restored. Beautiful imperial nib on these. They're not, Schaefer is very confusing because they called this over here the imperial nib. They called this the Triumph nib, but they mix and matched their models. Some were Triumph, some were Imperials. So you can have Schaefer Imperials with Triumph nibs. And it's just really confusing. And then we have a Pilot Custom Grande, 14 karat gold broad nib. Fillers attached, middle tube with a pressure bar and a sack from a collection of a former Pilot employee. Never filled or used. Wow, that's something really interesting and rare. Yeah, these Japanese-made Pilots that were made for only the Japanese market are really, really interesting pens if you can get your hands on them. I don't see where, I don't have the picture of the 75. Here, let me just go back here. To keep from boring you with my screen, I want to find Madeline's email here. See whether I missed a picture. Let's see the pictures. Oh, there it is. Okay, let's go back to the computer. There it is. This is a Parker 75. I should note that those of you who watch the British show Keeping Up Appearances, Dame Patricia Rutledge passed away at the age of 96 yesterday. She played Hyacinth Bouquet, Hyacinth Bucket in that BBC series. Really broad British humor. But she was marvelous in it. But in the opening, if you ever watch that show, maybe it's the closing. No, I can't remember. It's either the opening or the closing. She writes something on a note card with a fountain pen. And it's one of these. It's a Parker 75. Hers was gold. This is a silver or chrome or platinum bodied pen. They're from the 1970s, I think. It's the pen is called Chisele, because of the pattern that's on that beautiful pen. It's got a gold end finial, beautiful 14 karat gold nib. I've never had a Parker 75 in my hands, but I'd like to get my hands on one. 18 karat gold nib. Cartridge converter is branded with Parker as a smoky colored plastic reservoir. Yes, that's the standard Parker. It'll take standard Parker cartridges as well, and a modern Parker converter. So there we go. What a lovely haul of vintage pens that you've got, and thank you for sharing that collection with me, Madeline. I sort of drooled over some of those fountain pens in your email, and I'm really pleased to be able to share it with the rest of you. And thank you for sharing it with all of us, especially the Pilot that was uninked from like the 1970s. That's fabulous to get your hands on something like that. So Hari says Dame Patricia Rutledge was born in Cheshire, England. And one thing people may not know about Hyacinth, the character is so broad, and the comedy is almost embarrassing sometimes. It's so broad. Brits love that kind of humor. But she was a serious actress. She was in To Sir with Love with Sidney Poitier, played one of the teachers. She was a serious actress, and an incredible opera singer. She was in many major musicals. She won a Tony on Broadway for, I don't know whether it's Pirates of Penzance or something. But if you can dig up some video of Patricia Rutledge singing, you'll be amazed. And when she sings as Hyacinth Bouquet in Keeping Up Appearances, she sings so awfully. It takes a trained singer and a lot of courage when you can sing perfectly in perfect pitch, and singing off pitch is really painful. But it shows the amount of talent that she had, that she could sing so that it made it just seem awful and horrible. But yeah, you have to listen to her sing in real life because she was magnificent. So R.A.P. to Dame Patricia Rutledge, wonderful person. Yeah, she was a brilliant opera singer and musical singer. And a great classical actor as well. You're right, Chaz. And yes, she did do many of their, except for the one where she fell in the river. I think all of the ones where she fell into the bushes, of course, was her. And when she was chased around by the major and she's running around and falling and stuff like that and going through the bushes, those she did her own stunts. But there was one where she was on a boat and they were both trying to navigate this boat and she fell into the water. I don't think she did that stunt. Sorry, John, what was the question? Re-asking my question. Oh, is that the question about the Parker IL instead of the IM? Yeah, here's the question. Here we go. If you were to purchase just one vintage Schaefer, what would it be? A low maintenance one? I have two great Parker 51s, which are just magnificent. So I doubt that they can be beat. Yeah, a good low maintenance vintage everyday carry Parker fountain pen vintage would be a Parker 51 aerometric. I've started converting those aerometrics so that they can take cartridges and cartridge converters to make them more convenient. But as long as you use safe inks with them, they're great everyday carry pens, and they just work and work and work and work. Chaz says that Rutledge was a 4-time Olivier Award actress. I believe that. Okay. There's a damning spoof of the British class system. Yeah. Yeah, I posted the question about the vintage Schaefer. There it is again. Oh, sorry, it was not about a Parker. It was, I answered about a Parker. A vintage Schaefer. I would say, if you don't mind a lever filler, the Schaefer Balance. Maybe even a Schaefer Balance 2. Search my videos for the review I did of Murray's Schaefer Balance 2 in Carmine Red. What a beautiful fountain pen. It was reissued in the 1990s, I think, and I reviewed Murray's version. What a fantastic pen, if you can get one of those. And it was a cartridge converter. So so you can get your hands on vintage. I suppose the 90s is vintage now. Get a hold of one of those. Beautifully balanced, as the name implies, beautifully balanced, beautiful fountain pen. You're welcome, John. Thank you for being here, and thank you for asking. And where are we? Oh, yes. In the agenda, don't forget, mark your calendars, October 24th, 6:30, Pelican Hub near you. We've given away the memberships, and mark your calendars also for November 1st, 10 a.m. for our next live stream. And I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank my co-pilot, Copperplate from Germany, for keeping me on track today. I'm starting to lean on you now for keeping me in the in the straight and narrow. I tend to get a little bit wide with my conversation sometimes. Even though it sometimes feels like I'm talking to myself, but there's so many out there, so many of you out there that really appreciate this old guy going on and on and on for an hour and a half on Saturday. But it's very much appreciated you come and spend some time with me once a month. And I'll leave the stream up for you so that you can say your goodbyes to everybody, all your friends that only meet here once a month. And I guess that's it. I'm going to go watch the Blue Jays win against the Yankees. Go Blue Jays, go. And I'll see you all next month. Don't forget to check out my new videos as they come up. And it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from him. Goodbye to all of you out there. Thank you so much.